moment later. I need to let Lorenzo know.
He knows you're with me. Just get in.
I did as instructed, though I let my annoyance show. The second he pulled away from the curb, I turned in my seat. You are extremely bossy.
Me? Excuse me, but I guess I'm still in a state of shock that you're pissed I interrupted you and your ex. Unfucking-believable.
Jake radiated attention, so at odds with his normally friendly, easygoing vibe. The man next to me was dangerous. I gulped at the unexpected layer to his personality while silently acknowledging I found it very sexy.
Well, are you?
He stopped at a red light and gave me the evil eye before refocusing on the traffic. Am I what? Could you please slow down, for fuck's sake? You drive way too fast. He grumbled something unpleasant before repeating his question.
Are you getting back together with him?
No way. Silence reigned in the electric energy permeating the SUV's interior. Are you getting back together with Derek?
No.
He pulled up in front of my house, killed the engine, and turned to face me.
I'm not.
Why did you come to Halo tonight? I thought you hated dancing.
I don't like the club scene, but dancing is cool. But it isn't why I came.
Why did you then?
Why do you think?
How the hell would I know? You are so frustrating.
I'm frustrating. Me. I can't remember the last time someone pissed me off as much as you do. For a smart guy, you do some stupid things. Walking in front of cars, getting yourself in a compromising situation with your fucked up ex, and you are a high-maintenance prima donna with fuck you.
I clutched the door handle, vibrating with misplaced anger and an intense desire for physical release. I had to get away from him before I did something really crazy, like stick my tongue down his throat so he'd shut the hell up. Jake grabbed my arm and pulled me back, throwing his hand over my mouth before I could speak.
Stop. I only meant part of that.
No, I meant all of it, but I came for you, Brent. I can't stop thinking about you, and how much I want. I suddenly couldn't breathe. The air was palpably thick with heat and desire. I swallowed hard, biting my lip nervously. This wasn't a bright idea. In fact, it was all wrong. But something here seemed real and right. I swayed forward into his space and without thinking reached up to tangle my arms around his neck. It was an impulsive move that changed everything. Jake groaned as he captured my mouth in a scorching kiss. I ran my fingers through his thick hair when he softened the pressure, pulling back to lick a seductive trail along my lower lip. I moaned as my tongue glided alongside his, licking and sucking in a building frenzy. My eyes closed and I sighed as I tilted my head back. Jake leaned over the armrest, practically crawling into my seat as he kissed and sucked his way along my jaw and down my neck. His hands moved over my face as though he were memorizing my features, the shape of my eyes, my brow, my cheekbones. When he sealed his mouth over mine again, there was a feverish quality that left me breathless. I gasped for air when he released me. My eyes flew open. Fuck! I gulped as I stared into Jake's intense face. He was on fire. There was a reckless, wild-eyed look about him, as though his control had worn thin. He bent to lick my lips again and again in a teasing manner until I went wild. I yanked him by the hair, sucking on his tongue and raking my fingers down his back as I fought to get closer still. There was no way to get the friction we craved in the confines of the SUV. Jake traced the shell of my ear with the tip of his tongue. Invite me inside, Brad, he growled. His eyes were full of heat and desire. I couldn't remember a man ever looking at me quite so passionately before. It was intoxicating. I stared at him for a long moment. Bad idea or the best fucking opportunity I'd come across in months. I couldn't tell the difference. So I set my turbulent thoughts aside and decided to take what I wanted. Jake. We couldn't keep our hands off each other as we made our way along the path to my front door. Jake's warm breath tickled my neck, He slipped his fingers under my t-shirt and splayed his hands on the small of my back. I fumbled with my keys, desperately trying to unlock the door.
Need help?
He bit my shoulder as he spread his hands across my bare torso. I could feel his hard-on nudging my ass. I closed my eyes in an effort to concentrate and not let my libido take over. Got it, I whispered, and we stumbled inside my entry. The second the door was closed and locked, we flew at each other. Our tongues dueled fiercely as we clutched and pulled at shirts and belts. When we'd used up all available oxygen, Jake inched back and tugged at my t-shirt, yanking it over my head and tossing it carelessly into the living room. I wanted to laugh at his exuberance, but I was too turned on. And when he reached out to twist my nipple between his thumb and forefinger, I went crazy. I launched myself at him, throwing my arms over his shoulders and curling my right leg behind him. Friction, friction, friction. I was so fucking horny and hard, and I wanted him any way I could get him.
Bran, baby.
He held my head between his hands and looked deeply into my eyes. Even in the darkened entry, with only the faintest of light coming through the living room blinds, I could plainly see his desire. He swallowed hard. His full, swollen lips and our combined, heavy breathing made the next word he spoke sound sexier than anything I'd ever heard.
Bedroom.
I nodded and leaned in to kiss his mouth again before leading him down the short hallway. He snaked his arms around my waist and turned me to face him as we entered the dark room. Then he walked me backward toward my neatly made bed and bent to kiss down my neck and nibble on my collarbone. When the back of my knees hit the mattress, I let out a rush of air, but quickly recovered to lean over and turn on the bedside lamp. No way was I missing any of this show. I sat up and started working on the buttons of his shirt. There were so damn many. When I got enough undone to slide my hands underneath to feel his bare skin, I gave up and let him do the rest. But I had to touch him. I hadn't felt him naked against me in many years. Once upon a time, it had been an almost daily occurrence. I was rocked by the realization and the strong sensation of forbidden déjà vu it elicited. I was lightheaded, with a primal craving to relive a sensual experience my body seemed to remember. I gulped and looked up at his handsome face. This was not the teenage boy of my youth. This was the full-grown, sexier-than-hell man Jake had become. He traced my jawline with his thumb.
You still okay?
I nodded vehemently, then grabbed his right hand and placed it over my rigid cock. Jake groaned as he squeezed my dick through the tight jeans. They weren't going to be easy to remove. He bit my bare shoulder and then stepped back to unzip my jeans and work the snug fabric over my ass. I'd gone commando, and the moment Jake caught on, he stopped.
You are so... God, I'm never gonna last. You're so fucking hot, Bran.
I was too strung out to enjoy the praise. I wanted us both naked, fast. I pushed my jeans down and let them drop on the floor. Before they hit the ground, Jake's hands were back. He reached for my ass, kneading the flesh as he rubbed his denim-clad dick against me. Take yours off too, please? I rolled to the side and pulled back the comforter as he fumbled with his belt and kicked off his shoes. My hand flew straight to my cock. I stroked my throbbing flesh as I watched the sexy man disrobing for me. He finished the rest of his buttons with hurried fingers and tossed his shirt somewhere near the door. My mouth went dry as I took in the physical specimen Jake had become. I remembered a somewhat lean but toned teenage jock with a smooth torso and killer abs. The memory paled in comparison to the well-defined musculature of an extremely fit firefighter in his prime. Jake's shoulders were much broader now, and his waist was slim, but he was by no means skinny. I itched to feel the light smattering of golden hair on his chest and traced the darker trail leading south. I ran my thumb over my slit and smeared the pre-cum drooling at the tip over the head of my cock before I stroked myself again. I glanced up when Jake let out a strangled noise. His zipper was undone, and his jeans hung enticingly low on his hips. "Hurry up," I pleaded. "No, wait. Let me." I rolled over onto my stomach, shifted back to my knees, and knelt up on the mattress in a fluid move. I splayed my hands over his pecs and ran them over his washboard abs before encircling his waist to slip my fingers in the cleft of his ass cheeks. I heard the slightest hitch in his breathing as I pressed my naked dick against his stomach and moved my hands under his briefs. I was too horny to linger, so I pulled back to give myself room to work and finally lower the fabric, exposing his beautiful, thick cock. He was magnificent. I sat back on my knees to get a better view of him. He was more impressive than I remembered. I reached forward to touch the soft skin at the tip and licked my lips before making a fist over his shaft with a quick turn of my wrist. He hissed and bit his bottom lip, watching me through hooded eyes as I languidly stroked his heavy cock. My tentative hold had more to do with reacquainting myself with something I never thought I'd see and touch again, rather than nerves. I was in awe of the moment and wanted to savor it. Jake seemed to feel the same. He held my gaze as he reached for my painfully erect dick, tenderly holding it a moment before tightening his grip. He used his other hand to fondle my balls. I closed my eyes and swayed slightly on the bed. Jake kissed my mouth sweetly before releasing me and delivering a sharp smack on my backside. "Lie down." I nodded and obeyed, waiting patiently for him to shuck off his jeans and join me. A moment later, he was on top of me, crushing me into the mattress. I let out a huff of surprise, but wrapped my legs around him to keep him still when he gave me a concerned look and started to shift his weight. "No, I like it. I like how big you are and how you feel. Don't stop. Don't be gentle." Jake let out a pained sigh. "Oh, fuck, you make me crazy. Bran, I want too much. Everything at once, but I need—" "What do you need? Tell me." My voice sounded foreign to me, beguiling. "Let me suck your cock." All available blood in my body traveled swiftly to my dick. My head spun, and I knew speech would be impossible. So I licked my lips and inclined my head. Jake grinned down at me wickedly before kneeling between my opened eyes. His fiery gaze swept up and down my torso before he bent to lick a path from my belly button to my cock. I struggled to prop myself on my elbows to watch the action. He stroked me a couple times before gliding his thumb over the swollen head to collect the pre-cum pooling there. Then he lifted his thumb to my mouth to suck the digit seductively. I whimpered and arched my back off the bed. His hand covered me again, followed by his tongue. I watched closely as he lowered his head over my cock to lick up one side and down the other. He pulled back and stroked my flesh languidly before glancing up at me with a wicked gleam in his eye. "Stop teasing me." My brow was furrowed as I leaned forward to grab his longish hair and pull him down where I wanted him. More?" I nodded manically. Jake chuckled, and the sound reverberated through me as he opened his mouth wide and swallowed my cock whole. I cried out and tilted my pelvis toward his talented mouth. He sucked wildly at the tip, pumping the base of my member in a swift rhythm. I ran my fingers through his hair and murmured words of praise. "Fuck, that's so good. So nice. Oh." He made a fluttering motion with his tongue that sent me close to the edge. I pulled his hair hard. "Stop. I don't want to come yet. Let me taste you, please." Jake's lips were wet, and his eyes were glazed over in a passionate haze. I wondered for a second if he'd heard me until he finally nodded and crawled back up my body.